Greetings, travelers, and season's greetings to you. It's Ed Gates with Cruise Planners Getaway Gang, and here's Paul Gamber.
Hello.
And here we are with our last show of the year. Hope you guys are all hope you're all having a great season right now. The holiday season is going strong. We got Christmas in a couple weeks, and of course New Year's. So Paul and I are dressed festively. I've got my my snowman suit on, and Paul's got his crazy sweater.
And my Santa hat. And yet, hey, we're only 1 week away from Christmas Eve. We don't even have 2 weeks. So
that's right. Yeah.
So finish your Christmas shopping.
I've got a Christmas vacation moose right there.
Love it. I love it. If anyone, and I haven't said anything, I just have to say, and Eddie and I, but Christmas Vacation is one of my favorite movies. And my wife surprised me a couple weeks ago. Chevy Chase was in town in downtown LA for a screening of Christmas Vacation, and then a time with Chevy Chase. Oh my God. I just, I was in heaven. She knows exactly my humor and how to things that are going to get me excited. So that was one of the highlights of the season for me so far.
That's awesome. I, my highlight, we just went to our annual Christmas party that we always go to, and ooh, I ate a little too much. I came off. I've been doing so good this year. I lost about 25 pounds, and then boom, I'm pretty sure I got about half of that.
Holiday time. We're going.
Christmas cookies, candies, carbs. Carbs is Christmas is all about, right? So
exactly.
But you know what? Even though we're in the festive move, we're gonna dedicate our show today about talking about some of the best New Year's Eve destinations across the world.
Yeah.
Paul and I put together a little list here of some destinations you're going to probably want to check out once in your life, or at least know about. And without further ado, Paul, why don't you take us our first destination?
Awesome. Well, this one needs no introduction. Everyone knows about New York City. There might be 38 different time zones counting down to midnight on December 31st. But all eyes are on Times Square. They always have more than 1 billion revelers around the globe tune in to see that glittering ball drop, which is crazy. And there's 1 million people ringing in the new year each year in Times Square. So, of course, you've seen it on TV. They have the star-studded concerts entertaining the throngs who arrive as early as noon to get, jockey for prime viewing. And, of course, rooftop parties citywide in New York provide views of the fireworks for those who, like me, prefer to avoid those crazy crowds. So New York City, definitely on this list.
Absolutely. What a great way to kick off the list with Times Square.
Absolutely.
Number 2 on our list is Orlando, Florida. More specifically, Disney World. For a place that does fireworks and parades daily, you know that the holidays will be extra special. New Year's Eve at Disney is packed with themed parties, special menus, and events at restaurants throughout the parks, and photo ops, of course, with all your favorite characters.
Yes.
But the countdown to midnight is the main attraction on December 31st. This massive soiree includes cocktails in the Fantasia Ballroom, chef-tainment, which adds a new meaning to playing with your food, as chefs prepare shadow box spectacles, an interactive DJ, a live band, and, of course, a champagne toast under the most magical fireworks display in North America. Well, that's debatable.
That's awesome. Well,
Disney magic is unbeatable, if you ask me.
I would love to be at Disney for New Year's. It's definitely high on my list too. So
that's a bucket list item. I don't know about Magic Kingdom since we're on the West Coast, but I can do Disneyland. I can definitely do that one here.
Absolutely. Well, heading far, far to the west, or perhaps far, far to the east, depending on your point of view, somewhere where it's summertime this time of year is Sydney, Australia. The nice summer weather and an amazing fireworks display makes Sydney a top draw for New Year's Eve. I always know turning on the TV here and seeing that morning of New Year's Eve, of course, they've already rung in the new year there. So more people attend New Year's Eve in Sydney Harbor than in Times Square, and for good reason. The Sydney fireworks may be the most admired and beloved display worldwide for New Year's Eve. Fireworks launch from the iconic Opera House, which I'm sure would recognize, nearby buildings, barges on the water, and from the Harbor Bridge. It's a 12-minute display, which is a minute for each month of the year.
Wow.
And it uses nearly all parts of that bridge and includes two special events that have become hallmarks of the Sydney show. The Waterfall, which is a shower of 1,100 candle fireworks streaming from the bridge to the water below, and the Bridge Effect, which is a pyrotechnic element with a different design each year relating to
definitely. Next on our list is Tokyo, Japan. And Tokyo is very unique. It's got different kind of celebrations over there. If you're looking for the fireworks and the all-night parties, you're going to want to head over to Yokohama, which is just across Tokyo Bay. It's not technically part of the Tokyo proper, but it is part of Greater Tokyo, and with nearly 4 million citizens there on its own, there's plenty of action, as it's one of the only regions in this area that celebrates the holiday in the Western fashion. But elsewhere in Tokyo and the rest of Japan, they take an alternate approach to New Year's Eve and visit. If you're going to be there, you got to visit one of the many temples for the ringing of the bell. At midnight, a monk will ring the temple bell 108 times to cleanse you your 108 worldly desires and send you into the new year as pure as possible. Crowds form for this early annual tradition, so arrive before 10 o'clock.
Yes, I need to enter the new year as pure as possible. I need some
pure. Like a nice, serene way of doing it, rather than something raucous. I mean, we've got some raucous parties on here, but then we got a couple other serene.
Absolutely.
New Year's, if you want to bring that in too.
I agree completely with that. So. Well, back to something a little more flashy and gaudy. No surprise, is Dubai. There are not many places on Earth to witness a more man-made spectacle than Dubai, and New Year's Eve is the perfect time to take it in. Explosive fireworks around the city are visible from public spaces, but the best views come from the decadent parties held in the city's towering skyscrapers, especially the world's tallest. You've seen it in pictures and movies, the Burj Khalifa, where parties rage on the 122nd floor. I'll have to pass on that. Sounds like someone with who's afraid of heights, a little bit of a crazy party, but it would be wild. Dubai was once the record holder for the largest fireworks display ever, launched on New Year's Eve 2013, before losing the title in 2016. Well, this may be, I couldn't verify this, but a little research before the show here, I think they may have actually regained that record. So
really,
yeah, I can't say that for sure. I don't want to say 100%, but it wouldn't surprise me because they tend to be a little competitive. So I think Dubai has retaken world's largest world's largest fireworks display in a year. So.
Well, you said it. Dubai means gaudy. I mean, if you think of gaudy, you think of Dubai. Yeah. And that stands to reason that a city like that would be a goo for setting records. So
absolutely.
Well, the next destination on our list is something definitely unique. You might want to consider going there someday for New Year's Eve. It's another serene destination. It's Christmas Islands, which is it's South Pacific. Even though they are named for another holiday and are more of a relaxing, natural destination than a party place, this island group holds the very special place in New Year's Eve traditions. They're the first time zone to reach midnight.
Aha.
A few parties can be found in hotels around the island, especially the most populated island of Gilbert's. But this is a spot to visit for New Year's Eve for bragging rights more than anything else.
Absolutely. That sounds pretty awesome.
List item kind of thing. If you want to be the first to bring it in rather than the last, they definitely check it out. Unfortunately, the only places to be the last places to bring in a new year are government bases. So the furthest west point, you would have to, there's nothing going on there. So this is the only place to get a record of this kind of thing. So you get the front
And
end. You can't really get the back end, but you get the front end.
and honestly, pretty difficult to get to as well. So, like you said, a bucket list item indeed. So.
Yeah.
Well, coming back over to the US of A, if you're willing to swap that bubbly for beer, Denver is a great place that should be high on your list for New Year's Eve revelry. Plus, you can enjoy some other things in the Mile High City that you can't legally find in most other cities, if you catch my drift. So if you're looking for the traditional black tie evening with a champagne toast, Denver is also home to tons of balls and galas, hosted by everything from hotels to their opera house. It's also a family-friendly place to ring in the new year, as they're one of a few cities that offer an early rendition of their fireworks displays at 9 o'clock instead of midnight. And the zoo even hosts a walking safari of 150 illuminated animal sculptures. So that sounds pretty fun. A lot of stuff going on in Denver, and representing that mountain time zone for New Year's Eve.
Nice, absolutely. Well, let's go on down south of the border to Buenos Aires, Argentina, another summertime destination. Like you mentioned with Australia, that's part of the draw there. And New Year's Eve is summertime in Buenos Aires. And that makes rooftop pool parties prime spots for ushering in the new year. From here, views of the fireworks are unbeatable, and so are the sunrises if you party all night long. On the ground, there's street parties everywhere, right? In just about every neighborhood, from enthusiastic local bashes in working class neighborhoods to glitzy celebrations in multi-blocks celebrations in some more touristy areas. And of course, the city's infamous nightclubs are no strangers to the crushing crowds of New Year's Eve celebrants. Oh. So if you want a big party in the nice summertime type weather, you cannot beat Buenos Aires in Argentina.
Sounds awesome. Skipping continents, but somewhere else that is no surprise that there are plenty of raucous parties and raucous revelry to be had is in the Thai capital of Bangkok. No surprise there. Before catching one of the fireworks displays at a handful of locations around the city, consider attending a drag show or a Thai boxing exhibition or any number of special cabarets for the holiday. The fireworks themselves are best experienced from one of the city's open rooftop bars, such as Vertigo at the Banyan Tree or Blue Sky at the Sofitel Centaura Grand. You could also head to Khao San Road and bar hop the mini street side options, or dive deeper into one of the clubs for an unforgettable and wild start to the new year in Bangkok. Sounds pretty wild indeed.
Definitely. Next destination will take me to London, England. The ball may drop in New York City, but Big Ben stands in London. Greenwich Mean Time is the standard for which all other time zones are measured and kept. So it stands to reason that Big Ben is a symbol of steadfast timekeeping and a New Year's Eve icon. Fireworks along the Thames are so popular that London now sells tickets for attendance, and they start selling as early as September. So you'll want to plan far ahead for an up-close look at this impressive display. As a bonus, public transportation in London is free from 11:45 p.m. until 4:30 a.m. Nice. So you'll save a few pounds at otherwise expensive evening and won't have to fight for a cab.
That is awesome. That would be.
I want to go to London so bad I can't even tell you. And it so would be. Maybe New Year's is. Maybe we got to focus on New Year's. Yeah, sorry.
Well, hopping over a little bit to the east is Berlin is a great place in Europe for New Year's as well. Between the Brandenburg Gate and the Victory Column, hundreds of thousands of partiers populate one of Europe's largest street parties for more than 12 hours. Gates open early in the afternoon, so kind of like in New York, get there earlier in the day. Concerts begin in the evening, fireworks launch at midnight, and the party continues until very late, 3 a.m. You can't beat Berlin for a party on any night of the year, and New Year's Eve is certainly no exception to that. And I can't speak to Berlin in specifically because I have not been there for New Year's Eve. However, I have been in Frankfurt for New Year's Eve about 12 years ago. Stephanie and I were in Frankfurt on the 31st of December, and they threw a pretty good party there, and certainly there were a ton of fireworks. So I'm sure Berlin would be even more awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, speaking of Berlin, well, no, not speaking of Berlin. Speaking of cold weather cities, let's go over to Canada, to our only stop in the Pacific time zone, and that's Vancouver, Canada. Yeah, you wouldn't think Vancouver's a great spot, but for New Year's, but yeah, and it's cold, but it is actually generally warmer than many other parts of Canada. And then there's hundreds of thousands of other revelers at the all-night street party in Canada Place every year for concerts and tons of food trucks, culminating in the fireworks you'd expect, including an early show for families at 9 p.m., kind of like Denver does.
Nice.
You can also embrace the winter and spend the holiday at a snowshoe fondue party at Grouse Mountain. Polar bear plunging in English Bay Beach, which,
Oh boy.
hey, I do that every year for my birthday here in February in Arizona, but that's Arizona, not Vancouver Vancouver in December.
Exactly.
Or stumbling across a torchlight parade at Sasquatch Mountain. But don't worry, there's plenty of traditional New Year's Eve celebrations to be found, and glitzy parties across the city too, like the popular waterfront gala ball at the Fairmount waterfront. So yeah, I want to check out Canada. Eh?
That sounds awesome. Yeah, I'm always sad each year. I got to say, Pacific Time Zone West Coast here in the U.S., including LA, doesn't really represent too well for New Year's Eve. It's always a little bit of a disappointment. So I'm glad to see Vancouver's on the list. So, well, heading back over to Europe again is Helsinki, Finland, another place I have never been and I'd love to visit in general. But on New Year's, public fireworks are the main event of just about every New Year's Eve event on our list. But Helsinki really goes above and beyond with the fireworks and has a dynamic display. The Finnish fireworks situation is especially interesting on the private side of things because fireworks are sold to citizens exclusively during the week between Christmas and New Year's Eve and can only be used from 6 p.m. on the 31st until 2 a.m. on January 1st. So making those 8 hours or so the focus of a year's worth of pyrotechnic planning. That sounds amazing. And also don't forget to partake in another funky Finnish tradition before the night is over. Pouring molten tin into water and having your fortune read from the resulting glob is probably the coolest way to foretell your coming year. Don't worry, they almost never say something bad. It's pretty much always good news.
That's wild.
Yeah,
hey, I'm gonna go see that sometime.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, hey, not to be outdone, we're leaving out one of our continents. Obviously, Antarctica is not going to be a place to go for New Year's, but Africa. Let's talk about Cape Town in South Africa. Another summertime destination. Keep in mind, it is southern hemisphere. It's the middle of summer down there. And Cape Town is actually rather temperate this time of year and very nice. It's known as South Africa's mother city, and Cape Town is a favorite destination for countless travelers to the continent. And New Year's Eve is an ideal time to check out the diverse cultural offerings this city has for free. Throughout the famous V&A waterfront area, pop-up performances ranging from operas, solos to dance ensembles entertained throughout the evening on New Year's Eve, and with free entertainment all tied to the annual theme that they have every year. Table Mountain is an inspiring scene under midnight fireworks, and Cape Town may be the safest major hub you can tote tots to. The city hands out free location assist bracelets for you and any little one you might be celebrating with.
What a great idea.
Yeah, they're very tourist friendly there.
That is awesome. Well, I'm glad we have a representation in Africa. Another one in Europe, it seems like Europe has quite a lot, is Athens, Greece. Imagine atop the Acropolis The Parthenon serves as the backdrop for an evening of concerts and other live entertainment before a big fireworks display to light up the sky at midnight. However, your best bet may be to attend one of the many parties at the hotels around the city, providing rooftop vantage points. Athens is home to a surprising number of these outdoor venues, and just about all of them will be celebrating in style with panoramic views of those pyrotechnics and, may I say, outstanding food as well.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm going to go right back down to the southern hemisphere again. I guess I get stuck with all the summertime ones. But you can't talk about party cities without mentioning Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. Carnival may be the biggest bash in Brazil every year, but there's nothing quite like New Year's Eve in Rio, where an estimated 2 million people converge on one of the world's most famous beaches to party all night long. Getting there isn't easy. You'll have to wait in long lines on the metro, and intense traffic makes for driving for a non-starter. So most people start the party along the way and are fully in the spirit by the time they arrive at Copacabana Beach. It's a tradition to wear white, and don't be alarmed when the entire hordes rush into the ocean right after midnight. They're taking part in a tradition of jumping several small waves and making wishes or giving thanks with each one they jump over. So that's a tradition there. And that sounds great. That's much better than a polar plunge, if you ask me, Paul. Absolutely.
A lot more pleasant, although sounds like a pretty wild experience in Rio overall with 2 million people. Twice as many as New York. My gosh. But at least the weather's nice. So, well, next on my list, welcome to all things Scottish, or if it's not Scottish, it's crap, because we're going to go over to Edinburgh, Scotland. And let's get a couple things straight here. The Scots call it Hogmanay, not New Year's Eve, and one night is not good enough. The celebration takes 3 days. So
of course not.
Of course, that's right. You bunch of wee pansies. So kick off the festivities with a Viking torchlight parade on December 30th, as more than 8,000 torchbearers march through the streets, while tens of thousands of additional revelers follow along with fireworks and lighting up the sky. On the big night of the 31st, join again a giant street party outside of Edinburgh Castle for concerts, dancing, outdoor bars, and of course a spectacular midnight fireworks display. And then if you're not too tired to roll out of bed early on January 1st, put on your silliest costume and march down High Street before joining in on the Looney Dook, which Dook apparently is a Scottish word for dip or bath. The Looney Dook is where you take part in plunging yourself into the frigid River Forth. So
of course,
bunch of crazies with a polar plunge called the Looney Dook or the Looney Duke, however you say it. Of course. I mean, I'm not surprised, but it does sound pretty wild.
Yeah, I get loaded up on a bunch of Scotch whiskey and jump into a frozen river. That sounds amazing.
Exactly. Well, Eddie, what's last on the list?
Before I close off the list, I do want to throw in some honorable mentions. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Paul. I want you to think about where a unique place that you spent New Year's recently. But I'm going to talk about one right here in my backyard. I didn't plan on doing this. But before I do that, I do also want to mention Las Vegas. Also has a huge fireworks show. That Las Vegas is definitely an honorable mention. Hong Kong didn't make our list this year, but they always have a big party there. Moscow was also a neat place to go. If you ever want to check out the former Soviet bloc, they have a beautiful landscape of their cities, and it'd be a fun place to check out there. They got a huge fireworks display there too. But I'm going to talk about Prescott, Arizona. Now, Prescott is the cowboy capital of Arizona. Prescott was the territorial capital of Arizona before it became a state. Then when it was located to Phoenix, Arizona became the capital. But Prescott is this old town. And it's famous for an area, it's Courthouse Square, and an area along that Courthouse Square called Whiskey Row, which is basically a row of shops and bars that they're famous for partying all throughout the night. Well, on Whiskey Row on New Year's Eve, they have a cowboy boot drop. Forget the ball in New York City. They drop a ball. They drop a boot, and they do this twice a night. They do it at 10 o'clock for younger people and older people, because Prescott is one of the retirement capitals of the world. So they'll do a boot drop there at 10 o'clock, and then they do it at midnight as well. And there's a huge party in the courthouse square, and you're going to want to check that out someday. So that's my honorable mention. How about you, Paul? Do you got any special places that you want to talk about for New Year's?
Well, I tell you what, I mean, I'll mention a couple things. My favorite place to spend on New Year's is in my house partying with you and Susie.
Woo!
And we have done that the last, 4 years maybe, at least. And so we truly enjoy, as much as we love getting out in there in the world and exploring and traveling, and I would not complain about being at any one of these places we've talked about. I love cozying up. We make a whole bunch of delicious food, appetizer food. We sing songs, we listen to music, we play games, we stay up late, toast midnight, and just have a great party at home. I love doing that, I must say. Back in the day, I used to spend some time, and I know it's changed, so I don't want to tell you what to do now, but I loved it. New Year's in Atlanta and the giant peach drop, and we had some great years doing that as well. And actually out north of Atlanta at Chateau Elan, which is a winery out there, we did New Year's there one year with a fantastic, just huge blowout party. So we had some fun times in Atlanta. But like I said, if I'm going to mention, it's going to be my own living room for New Year's Eve. So.
That peach drop, was that the underground Atlanta where they did that?
It was, and I think they've moved it. I was trying to take a quick look here to see. They might do it out by the new Brave Stadium out at SunTrust Park now, northwest of the city. But there's stuff going on. And, of course, downtown Atlanta with the Centennial Park and the aquarium, there's a lot of great stuff going on downtown for New Year's, too. So I don't want to give details on that. I just was speaking of memories there.
Oh, perfect. Well, that's fantastic. I'm going to close out our list today with a very unique place to spend New Year's, and that is on a cruise.
Yes.
If you really want a New Year's Eve celebration to be a party to remember, and you've got the time and money for a winter getaway, a New Year's Eve cruise is the perfect way to ring in the new year. We've actually booked a couple this year, haven't we, Paul?
We got some clients, several clients going on New Year's cruises this year. Absolutely. So
yeah. Well, cruise lines go all out with ship-wide parties and special menus, but the best part is all of that revelry is within walking distance of your cabin.
You don't have to drive either.
Yeah, no transportation. Ships are often they offer deck parties, tons of food and drinks. Some ships have black tie galas, and other ships just have big dance parties and things all night long. They'll have live music, champagne toasts. A lot of times, some ships will give away noisemakers and things like party favors. Some will even do like a balloon drop on the deck right at midnight, or even Paul, you said some of them will do fireworks in the Caribbean, things like that. So they'll do at the countdown to midnight. So it's definitely a cruise to remember and an event to remember for New Year's Eve. If you're interested, you got to book these early. They are among the most expensive holiday cruises. And they can sell out well in advance. So let us know if you're interested at all. We'll give you the heads up early on and book that early.
Yeah, don't wait, because you won't. I mean, not to name names, but when I booked back in November, I booked for some clients, a couple different ones on the New Year's Eve cruise. And this particular ship, there was one balcony cabin left on the entire ship. And that was 2 months before sailing. So they do sell out. You're not going to wait and find a good deal. And do be prepared to pay for that privilege, because I would say they are the most expensive holiday cruise, more than Thanksgiving, Christmas, any of the spring break ones. New Year's Eve, a lot of people, they want to do that. People's on vacation. It's a big party. But it is definitely high at the top of my list of things I would like to experience. So. Yeah. Well, Ed, I'm so glad we got to talk about all of these New Year's spots, because, and I wanted to say thank you too for all of the great posts that you have been putting up in our VIP group for all of these Christmas spots, and they have been fantastic.
Aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they're great. And so I'm glad we got to talk today about the New Year's spots, and I can't believe this is it. We won't see you for Travel Talk Live again until January 7th. of 2020, where we're going to talk about our travel news for January. So
that's correct. So everybody, we want to wish you all happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year to all of our members of our VIP group and everybody watching on YouTube. If you're not a member of our VIP group on Facebook and you're watching us on YouTube, click below. You can join the link
in the description.
Yeah, and we'll be able to we'll sign you up there, and you'll be able to see all the things that Paul was just talking about. We have daily content
and travel community. It's we have a great group, and we'd love to have you part of it. So
yeah, really great. So thanks again for watching, everybody, and take care. Be safe this holidays.
All right, guys. Happy holidays. Bye bye.
Bye bye.